Hello and welcome to the All the Gear podcast. And today is the second episode in our Microlight series. And joining me today are Keiran and
Hi, folks.
coming back for his second appearance is our danger man himself, Aled. And Keiran, if you start, tell us where everybody can find you.
Yeah, so Kieran Wilkinson Photography on Facebook, Flyby Code on Instagram, or kieranwilkinson.com on the internet.
And Aled.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, or good morning, whenever you're listening. My name's Aled. I work for Clifton Cameras, and you can find me on Instagram at aphillips_photo.
Excellent. And you can find me, Bradley, at Thrust Aviation Imagery on both Facebook and Instagram. So you guys have been rather busy, so I'm kind of joining the listener in this one in learning about your trip, because you guys have been in the Welsh mountains with a slim chance of some aviation happening. So, Keiran, why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, so last week was Cobra Warrior 2026's first, 26th first exercise, week one. So myself and Aled decided we were going to head off to the Welsh Hills and see what we could catch. I think we booked it a while ago, just on the pure off chance. I could say a bit, couldn't have been lucky really with weather. But yeah, the Mach Loop itself, for those that don't know, for the uninitiated, I'll try and put my teeth in. It's a series of valleys in Wales, and it's used by the military to practice high speed and low altitude flying. You hear radio calls like 500 feet, 500 knots, and get quite excited. Because they're a series of valleys, the pilots and obviously the aircraft often are below the peaks, which gives us as photographers a great opportunity to look down on the aircraft and get, for me, probably the best in the wild aviation photography that you can pretty much get.
Yeah, sound. So I suppose I go to Aled now and ask you, why go to the Mach Loop? What's it all about?
Yeah, for me, it's everything I like about life in general in one package. So I love being outdoors. I love being in the hills. I love walking. I love hiking, getting up early and seeing the sunrise and doing all of that I think there's nothing better for mental health and for getting out and about. So to throw in a load of aviation photography potentially is always going to be a win. So it's one of my favorite places to visit in the world, and I would happily spend as much time up there as I can do and drive the 3 hours and back in a day if I really had to, if I really wanted to get up there. So it's just everything I love about life, really.
Yeah, cool. And Keiran, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's the pinnacle of aviation in the wild in the UK. So for me as well, the challenge of the hike to spot actually makes the story to tell. And there's some of the views that you get in a week. I mean, I spend all day generally sitting at a desk. To say the Welsh Hills alone is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, cool. So how long did you guys spend up there?
So I think we travelled down Sunday and spent a week there. So I think day one, how did we get to day one? Spot one was on Spur, which is sort of down the same valley as Bulk, for those that know the Mach Loop. Spent till about lunchtime there.
Yeah, the weather
Got
closed in a little bit, didn't
very
it?
lucky. Yeah, the weather closed in, and I think when we first looked at the forecast, and it's always one of those, you look at the forecast and you go, what are we going to do? Oh, what's the chance of our AF Valley? Tell you what, I'm glad we didn't, though, because, yeah, I'll let explain what we saw, because obviously we didn't see aircraft that wouldn't loop.
Yeah, so there was me saying the whole week before that we would never get the German Typhoons come across from Cobra Warrior because they'd always done the Lake District in the past. And yeah, lo and behold, was it about 11:30 or so? They were in the Lichfield corridor heading across to Wales. So there was my humble pie for the week on early on Monday morning. So I was yeah, happy to take that one.
I don't think we could quite believe it. Granted, they did some spirited and different flavors of Mach Loop passes, didn't they?
Well, they found their own loop, didn't they? They kind of didn't do the traditional ones, shall we say? So yeah, they sort of dived up a few valleys that maybe they were a bit surprised to see a mountain wall right in front of them as they turned the corner. So yeah, no, interesting, but nice to get some different angles as well. So it's everyone's seen the classic, Mach Loop images of these various different locations. So to be able to get something a little bit different was really nice.
Yeah, we'll have to get you
Yeah.
guys to post those in the group, on the page. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what should someone who's never been to the loop before? What preparation do you need to do?
Yeah, so I think for me it was learn your gear. So it's very slow. Hurry up and wait, and then moments of abject terror as this aircraft comes flying down the valley, and everyone's yeah, yeah. Apparently, yeah means aircraft arriving, but apparently that's too long. So as everyone suddenly starts shouting yeah down the valley, you suddenly go, oh, I best pick that camera up and use it. Um, yeah, learning your gear. It's like I say, it's moments of hurry up and wait, followed by oh god, there's an aircraft. They do sneak up on you quickly. You have to know everything as you don't want to be discovering where your shutter speed dial is, as there's a typhoon ripping past you on the loop.
Yeah, anything to
Yeah,
add to
it's
that,
definitely
Alan?
quick reactions, isn't it? It's yeah, you do have to be quite quick in certain scenarios when they do surprise you because they can come in blind, so they can come in not on the radio calls at all, or you might miss them on the radio or something like that. So yeah, even the most prepared will still get surprised every now and again. But for me, it's just remembering where you are. So you are in a mountainous region that is notorious for having bad weather. It can change on the flip of a coin. So make sure you've got plenty of
And did.
layers. Make sure you think you've got enough layers to be warm, and then put an extra one in just in case, because you just never know how things are going to be. I must admit, going in March this year was a lot better than my usual time, which is February. So not standing in minus 15-degree wind chill all day was actually quite a nice pleasure. That was a particularly bad couple of days actually that we had those sorts of conditions. But yeah, just basic mountaineering stuff. So that is the environment you're in. Remember to be safe. Just think, if the weather changes now, can I get down the hill safely? Have I got enough with me? Food, drink, sun cream, all that type of stuff that you would normally pack anyway. But just make sure you're double checking that you've got everything you need to spend a day in the mountains, because trust me, you don't want to be stuck up there when the cloud rolls in. You can't see where you're going. You're coming down these really slippery paths that are steep in places and are narrow and do have quite big
I can
drops off to
vouch
the
that they're
side. So
slippery.
they are slippery. Yeah.
I learned
Um,
that the hard way.
we've all done it. We've all been there. We've all slipped over at some point. But yeah, just give yourself the best chance of not surviving. It's not quite that bad, but just make sure that you are as safe as you can be, and don't be afraid to call it early. If things are looking bad, it's always best to no image is worth getting into trouble for yourself for getting too cold or getting too damp or whatever. So just make sure you're still safe in that environment. It's the best thing to do.
Yeah, sounds
We
sounds
actually
wise.
called it, didn't we? We actually called it, didn't we, on Monday? We both looked at each other as this hail shower came in and went, I think we'll go home.
Yeah, it was probably the right time to head down. Actually, it got a little bit worse as we got down to the bottom with the wind coming across. So when you're trekking up with big bags and lots of kit and it's heavy and it does catch the wind and it
There were
can
some
be quite
snaps, weren't
dangerous.
there?
So
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I can only echo Alad's advice there. It's
yeah, it
doubly
sounds. I
important.
mean, I've only done sort of one trip there. Or first time I ever went, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. So, yeah, I know what the weather conditions are like. It might be nice on the ground as you're driving along, but it's mountains. It's different. So just be prepared to see nothing, and that's not just aircraft. That's the mountain or the person next to you. So. Anyway, so in terms of gear and actually shooting the aircraft, what were you using? I'll come to Alid first.
yeah, so I was very lucky. So I just had to ask the owners of our business very politely to take some stock out the cabinet. So I was using a Sony A1 II and Sigma's 300 to 600 mm f4 for the week. All wrapped up in a nice Shimoda X70, so plenty of space for the big camera, the big lens, all of the extras you need of layers and coats and flasks of coffee and all the other stuff to survive the day up there.
Sound. And Kieran?
Yeah, so week of opposites on the trip. I went for the OM system OM1 Mark II, and then I'd hired an OM system 50 to 200 f2.8 Pro, which is fairly new lens that's just come out. I've not tried it. I was desperate to get older one to try, and then added 1.4 times teleconverter with that. Again, all wrapped up in a Shimoda bag, a little bit small to reflect the camera system I was carrying. Shimoda X50. They're from the Action range, both mine and Aled's bags, and they were really useful. I think probably the biggest thing for me was, like we talked about, it is a safety factor in the loop, and you are in the hills. Having the things actually attached to you and all in one place when you're up some of the slightly trickier hikes is definitely well worth it.
And actually, what I found really useful this time is the first time I've used one in the loop specifically was a walking pole. So you kind of
Yeah,
think you see these old guys trekking up there with walking poles, but there is a reason why they are using them. As I say, it's the first time I've used one hiking up there with a camera bag, but actually was surprised as to how useful it was. So definitely recommend. It was probably the best cost of pounds to weight ratio of having good kit with you was that walking pole for the week.
Yeah. It just help.
Definitely when you're carrying the kit up there, you're putting the weight through the poles as well.
That's it. It helps you with the balance, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Even just for testing, is this ground stable? Is that rock stable? You can poke it with the pole and go, all right. Well, if it's wobbling, I'm not going to stand on it. So just all really helps.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
let's talk about some of the locations then. I take it you from what you said earlier, you've tried different places. So which was your favourite, and maybe let's expand on that and tell us which one you don't like as much. So go to Kieran first. Go.
Ooh, left field. What I don't like. So I'll start with the one I did like. I'm going to be really cheesy. Those that are listening that were with us on that Friday, it's got to be bulk exit for me. The scenery, the look with the light of the Raven F-16 going straight through, and many other Polish F-16s going straight through. Just loved it as a place to photograph, and yeah, and it's quite an enjoyable walk as well up there. I found, and probably my least favourite is probably the most obvious one. It's the one I went to on my first trip, Cad East. I think, yeah, Cad East. We went up there on the Wednesday, and I can't say I was massively sold. I don't particularly enjoy the hike. It's a bit of a just straight up a path, bit dull, and it is all part of the experience to me. And I think as well, there's a lot more to getting your way when you're shooting. So if like the Texans come down on the deck, you've either got to be really on the edge, and I'm not, contrary to popular belief, a particular big lover of heights. So that worked really well for this trip. That did. So I tend to prefer a little bit more solid footing than that. So yeah, for me, Cad East is probably my least favourite, but it's still amazing, an amazing place to be.
Yeah, sound. And Aled?
Yeah, I think it depends on the weather for me. So if it's cloudy, I think I'm going to be hard pressed to go anywhere else other than Spur. I just love that backdrop, and you pretty much guarantee the top side as they go around you. And when it's cloudy, you're not shooting into the light, and if there's moisture in the air, there's more likelihood of some vapor on the wings going around that corner. So, and I do love that location. Having said that, though, I was debating whether to choose that or bulk exit because first time I'd done it this trip as well, and that landscape and that backdrop is just stunning. So that would be hard to beat on a sunny day. And I think I preferred the exit over to the bulk shelves. The backdrop's just so much
Yeah,
more interesting. The shelves have got kind of a plain field behind them, so great for practicing your panning, great for the low shutter speed stuff, especially if there is sheep on the hill opposite. You can kind of, how long can you draw a sheep type challenges throughout the day. But that backdrop at exit is just something else. In terms of ones I don't like, I think you can be quite influenced by what you see on the day in these locations. So if you go to Cad West and you see Chuff Hall, oh, it's a really bad location, didn't like it, didn't enjoy it. But if you went and you saw everything, then you'd love it. It would be amazing. It'd be the best place you've ever been to. So it's hard to draw on conclusions without playing that into factor. And I think Cad East for you, Kieran, is probably one where if we were a little bit sort of further back the walk that we went up, where you get the head-on shot as they come in and you've got more time to spot them, you'd probably really enjoy that location. Or equally, if we were further
yeah,
down the valley, so once they come over the brow of Cad West, level out and then give you the bit of the top side, if you were level with that area of the pass, I think you probably would have enjoyed it more. So maybe it just wasn't quite the right, location within a location almost. Because you've got quite a lot of scope on caddies
yeah,
to go to different areas, whereas Spur it's one spot, Bulk Middle Shelf it's one spot, Cad West there's a little bit of variation, but it's pretty much one spot. So it is the one where you can get sort of three different types of shots depending on where you go and where you stand on the top of the hill. There is some variation there, so maybe it's just a case of trying a slightly different one.
yeah, quite likely. And I think, yeah, having been to Cad East before, I got some shots I absolutely loved. I think there was just something about the other valley that I prefer the scenery. I mean, it was hard push not to pick Spur, but I kind of knew where your answer was going. Yeah, I absolutely, the scenery of Spur. There's I don't know what you call it, like where there's like a V in the rock, all this texture. The one that you got the KC-135 that I've never forgiven you for through. Um, that scenery just looked amazing, and I think it makes it look that much closer to the ground.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
depth behind the jets or behind the aircraft to the background as well. It just really gives you that nice separation, that nice fall off between the subject and the background, because they can be quite close to the valley walls. So that particularly does give you quite a lot of distance there, which is really nice. And if you are shooting at even F5, 6, F7.1, even you still get that nice drop off as you head towards the background. So yeah, Spur definitely for me, I think is probably my top one if it's cloudy.
Oh, sweet. So let's move on then. I think you've alluded to a few things here. I'll come to you first, Keiran. What was your highlight from a photographic perspective of your trip?
I think it was a tough call between either end of the trip. But I think the German typhoons on day one, because I was expecting nothing, and suddenly these German typhoons turn up, and you vapor, because so much moisture in the air, vapor right the way around. And then there was one particular maneuver where a German typhoon decided what he really needed to do was fly over the spur. And it was kind of one of those moments you're watching through your camera lens going, this is an interesting line. This is an interesting. Oh, he's getting quite close. He's over my head. And yeah, some quite detailed shots of the wings of a typhoon, let's say, and the gear doors. But that is an experience to see. And I think knowing that we were one of not many people who had braved going up the hill that day, to see that and it not happen the rest of the week. Not that it's about gatekeeping this hobby, but that in this hobby, but this unique thing, that's special. That really is. So that for me was probably my favourite.
Nice, nice. And Aled, go on. What was your favourite?
Yeah, I mean, the Raven Jet for me from the Polish Air Force is one of my favourite schemes. I've got the Hobby Master model. I'm fully invested in loving that paint scheme. So that was my sort of or underrated target for the week. Then was to try and get that topside shot, and they came through on the Tuesday, and we were a little bit low on bulk middle for where they were. So I mean, I got a shot of the top side, but I wasn't kind of happy with it. So to get those through the bulk exit on the Friday just absolutely made the trip. That was the shot I was after, and I was so pleased that I managed to convince Keiran to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning again to get up and go into the
Check
car
out of
park
an Airbnb.
yeah, to chuck everything into a bag and just say we'll deal with that later. Don't worry about it, and get up there for that. So that definitely was the one. But I just want to say we were so lucky with what we saw. I mean, what we saw on Tuesday alone was 5 or 6 times more than I saw in the whole week the last time I went, and not many weeks where an RAF F-35B comes through, which is
Oh,
would
wow.
always be the star of the show, is not even mentioned. It's an honourable mention in a footnote somewhere for what we've seen in the week. So we were very very lucky in what we've seen. But in terms of favourite image, it is that Polish Raven from Exeter. That's just the shot I had in my head as I wanted to capture from the week.
Yeah, sweet.
Having got up at 5 a.m. the day before and seen a Juno, and then walked our way down, and then the Texans arrive. I heard, swarm of wasps coming through the valley. But yeah, I think I'd have been gutted if I'd have rolled out of bed at 10 o'clock and sort of ambled myself up CAD, and by the way, I've seen nothing because they didn't fly down the CADs. Which again, not a reflection on the location. It happens in this situation. There were other issues with CAD, let's say, to do with underslung loads. But yeah, I mean, my last trip, I guess, just to add to that, my last trip, I had to come home after day one because it was so windy and it just wasn't worth staying. So this trip was 4 years in the making and made it up to me. Let's put it that way.
That's great stuff. And I mean, there's something to add to that is the fact that from social media you do see and you think it's an air show, right? You turn up and it's endless hours of flying, but it couldn't be further from the truth. So I think it's important to sort of keep in mind that it is totally potluck. It is fishing, but the
Yep.
aviation version. It's turn up. You can give yourself the best chance, which is good weather, good visibility, and not a weekend, obviously, or a bank holiday. And then
Go for it.
you're in with a better chance than any of those things of seeing something. So that's important. So
But we had all that, like just to say, we had all that on Thursday
yeah,
and still nearly blanked.
yeah, and that's it.
That just shows.
Exactly. So moving on from the photographic perspective, what was your personal highlight of the trip? We'll go Keiran first.
Yeah, so I've alluded to it already. I took a fall on day two, not particularly badly, thankfully. Still don't quite know how. Was very supported by Aled when he heard the walking pole that he'd very nicely lent me go snap and said, "Oh, I thought it was a bone." On the bright side, I've been able to get a photo of the helimed. Which, to be fair, my response was, that's fine as long as you get my camera out so I can do the same. Thankfully, it wasn't a bone, but that did, I think, having not done that kind of hiking for a long time, that was very much a confidence knocker, being honest. And it was like, okay, this is interesting. To then take on Bulk Exits hike, which has technical moments and certainly was something I wasn't familiar with, and with a group of much more experienced people than me, to be able to then do that on Thursday and Friday with confidence was a personal highlight for me, and I think that's as important as the photography.
Yeah, sound brilliant. So, and Aled, yours?
Yeah, for me, it's just being back up there. I mean, that location, that environment, yeah, I could spend as much time up there as I would want. I would always happily go back there. So just seeing old mates that I've not seen for 12 months since the last time I've been there was really nice. And then to be fair, seeing Keiran go through that and seeing on his face that he was a little bit less confident, and then getting to the Friday and then seeing how you were like, bundling up and down and enjoying it. And, you waited till Friday to tell me that you had to teach yourself to walk again when you were 5 years old. And I thought, yeah, maybe that was a Monday conversation to have as to where we're going. And
Nah.
there's me going, oh, yeah, come on, it's fine. And, all this sort of thing. So, yeah, no, to see the look on your face when you kind of achieve something, I know that meant a lot to you. So that, to be fair, I think that was actually my main personal highlight, was just taking someone to that environment who maybe wasn't as confident or as brash as I was, to say, oh yeah, it'll be fine, come on, let's go. And just seeing your confidence grow through the week, especially after the fall as well, because I know that did sort of hit you a little bit. So that was just really nice to see. I enjoyed the Friday lows just because of that reason alone.
I think it's one of those things as well. You're keen to get up the top, so sometimes you just got to pace yourself a little bit, especially if you're not used to doing the walking.
The trick is to park in the car park at 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. Then do some form of airshow marshalling style car parking rearrangement, and then hike at sunrise. Now, if you're listening, Jason, that's what I call a sunrise photo shoot, because that was there is I could probably post it on the page, a photo of me and Ali with the sun just cresting over the hill of that valley. It just, what's better to be? Tell you what, it's better than getting up at 5 o'clock for work.
Oh, definitely. So, in terms of shooting in the Mach Loop, what sort of techniques were you using to sort of capture that low level action, Aled?
I very much fell into the trap of the spray and pray this time round. There was so much there that I hadn't seen before that I was just, yeah, it was a bit of a tester for me as well, with a new camera and a new lens that I'd not used before. So finding sort of buffer limits, and it's 15 frames a second, how long can I go for, and that type of thing. So I was very much just taking an image as much as I could do, because I know that um well, from past experience, there'll always be a shot that you'll want to revisit and you think you never got if you've deleted it. So I thought, well, I'll try and keep as many as I can do, and I'll look back in 2 or 3 years and I'll revisit these shots and go, oh, I did get that angle, or I did get this. So yeah, and as I say, I've never seen F-15Es, never seen German Typhoons or a Typhoon of any sort through the loop, and had loads this week. So I was just there to capture as much as I could do. But yeah, next time I'll probably do it a little bit different, but we'll get onto that.
Exactly. And Kieran?
Yeah, so it was the panning. There's a bit more to it than just panning, though, because you've got to really keep your eyes and ears open. So, particularly on the Friday, I took some. It's the only day I took mobile phone footage because I was using a magnetic mount. I didn't want it blowing off in the wind. Um, that yeah, the panning side of it, you've got to keep your eyes and ears very open. So you actually see on the footage where suddenly this F-16 pops out from below where I was looking, and I completely miss it. So there's more to it than just simply keeping the smooth motion of panning. It's keeping your eyes and ears open of what's going on, and not focusing on, oh yeah, smooth pan, smooth pan. Oh, missed it. That side of things probably caught me out more than I expected. But yeah, I think because of the smaller gear, certainly on the earlier part of the week where it was windy, I was able to drop into some nice low shutter speeds, which yeah, we'll come into earlier as to how Aled fared with his windsock.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to say as well, is that don't be afraid to adapt to situations. So the start of the week I was at f4, 1000, one over 1000 on the shutter speed, but I actually felt like I was missing quite a lot. So stepped down the aperture to f7.1, up the ISO because I know that denoise could handle the ISO that I was shooting at. took the lens hood off the lens actually when it was windy, which made the biggest difference out of the whole week. So it wasn't raining, so there was no issue with water getting onto the front element of the lens. And all of a sudden, my keeper rate went up. So just don't be afraid to adapt to the conditions. And it's a little bit scary having a lens without a lens hood on because it is a bit of a protection as well if you bump it on a rock or something. But as long as you're careful, just yeah, don't be afraid to adapt throughout the week and try different things.
Yeah, sound.
Definitely, I was dropping it same, putting the teleconverter on, off, trying it a bit different. And then as you move around locations, because we're trying to do like a different location each day, till the end of the week where we fell in love with bulk eggs, they would appear. But yeah, like you've got to try different things everywhere, haven't you? Because where you think, oh yeah, that'll fit in, that'll be fine at 400 mil, and then suddenly you go, oh, no, that's filling the frame, and I can see the pilot's head, and that's it. So that side of things as well.
Sound. So, what would you do differently next time? Because I'm sure you're already planning your next trip. Keiran.
Yeah, so I'd programmed my scanner correctly. I was very excited. I've treated myself to a new ICOM scanner, which I love. I've been very indulgent because it's got USB-C charging. That's about the only exciting feature it has more. I tried to justify it and spent quite a lot of time justifying it. So I thought I'll take it to the loop. Great. This will be great. It's going to work. I can listen to multiple scanner banks. And what I tell you, it's going to smoke the Uniden that Aled's bringing. Oh yeah, yeah. It's all well and good as long as you program it correctly. Without getting into the detail, I hadn't set some of the settings up. Spent the first 2 days going, why do all the radio communications sound as I can hear it clear as day out of Aled's? That was probably something I'd change, and then probably as well consider my newfound knowledge of locations to plan actually what I'm looking to shoot. I know you can only plan so far because you don't know what you're going to see, but I think with more experience, you know that probably if you start your plan at a certain spot, you know that perhaps there's areas, I know like bulk exit lines up with certain scenery that you really like, or maybe on spur lines up with the scenery you like there, or even where that you know they're probably going to pull a topside. A little bit less of a problem when you can blat at 25 frames per second and still not fill a buffer, which is how you end up at thousands of shots. But yeah, I'd probably be a bit more mindful of that and what the light. I know Bradley's little conversation about the light in our previous one of our previous episodes, but yeah, knowing what that's going to do as well is really useful as you build up experience.
Yeah, exactly. Aled.
Yeah, similar for me as well. Is once you've got your banker shots and you know you've got a shot of an F-15 at this location, try something different. So for me, it would definitely be to start lowering that shutter speed down and getting some more motion in the backgrounds. I did a little bit on some Texans sort of later in the week because we'd had a fair few of those. So I thought, oh yeah, let's just give it a go. So I got a few at 1/60th, which 600 million 20 mile an hour
You
winds
got a
is
lovely shot of 1/60th of a Texan.
yeah, no, I was quite chuffed with that one actually. I was hoping for a couple and managed to get some. So yeah, I probably wouldn't go any lower than that. That probably is about the limit is what you want. But yeah, I wouldn't be so scared to start doing that on some of the fast jets and all that type of stuff.
Excellent. So it sounds like you guys had an amazing trip, and I'm kind of disappointed I didn't come with you. So I have actually booked to go myself with another mate of mine, and I think we're planning to go to Bulk. Maybe try Bulk Exit because actually I've only ever been to the Mach Loop twice. The first time was a total failure. Shout out to Wally Curtis because our morale was very much left on the side of that mountain that day, and saw nothing other than cloud and a false sense of optimism that the cloud might actually clear. It wasn't until we come off that mountain that we realised that actually we'd been stood in the cloud. So it was a very quiet journey in the car home after being up at something like 5, if not earlier, in the morning. And we went back about this same time last year and had a fantastic time. I think it was something like 12 F-15 passes, and if you'd have told me that we'd have got half that before we left, I would have bitten your hand off. So hopefully something similar. Fingers crossed. The great British weather plays ball that day. So you guys want to add anything else before we sort of wrap things up?
The only thing I would say is just go careful with how addictive it is. We had one of the best weeks I've ever had in any low level environment ever, but I'm still like, oh yeah, but if we go again this time or this time, you're just always searching for that next time to go and visit. So yeah, once you've been, just be prepared to keep wanting to go back, because if you don't see anything, you want to go and see stuff, and if you have seen loads like we have, you just want more of it. It's my favorite type of aviation photography, full stop, bar none. So yeah, I just can't wait to get back up there again, and yeah, just go careful of how addictive it is.
I'd forgotten. Yeah, I'd only done a day before this trip, and I'd been saying for a long time I want to go back. And I think by like day two, it's like, when's my next holiday? When can I get there? No, I wonder if I can do it in a day. That kind of thing. But it is, yeah, it is such a special thing that we look at other countries in the UK and go, oh yeah, but they've got this and they've got that. That is up there. I mean, when you've got foreign air forces that are going out of their way to fly through it, and same with the lakes, various other places. If when they're at that point, you know it's something special, and we need to remember that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, except. So have we got any upcoming plans? What's your next shoot, guys? I'll come to you first, Aled.
So mine is a complete switch. So my next shoot is actually at Sywell with Centre of Aviation Photography. They've got the Battle of Britain shoot up there that we've got a little part to play in that we're bringing Canon along to help out with the event. So they'll be there with some kit to hire out. I think tickets are still available. So they'll be there loaning kit out with camera bodies, lenses, and stuff. So if anyone's always wanted to use a specific lens in aviation photography, with a static shoot, then they'll be on hand to do that. And then Sunday there's a print workshop too. So if you want to learn all about printing and have a couple of prints reeled off from the shoot the night before, then perfect opportunity to do it. I think they've got everything from a 8mm up to a 400mm. So yeah, there'll be loads of stuff there.
Sweet. And Kieran?
Yeah, I'm also on that shoot. I don't think I've got anything between now and then. Probably something will crop up at Yorkshire Air Museum. It usually does. Usually some work for the team there to do. But yeah, my next big shoot will also be that one.
Excellent.
Which, yeah, really looking forward to. It was Sywell last year we did with American, P-51 and P-47. That was awesome. And I'm looking for more of the same. It was one of my favourite shoots last year.
Excellent stuff. And for myself, I haven't got much planned. I think I must have mentioned this on the last episode. Is the Buccaneer Day down at Kemble on the Easter weekend. So and that's if I don't end up at Fairford. When anyone that's failed to see the news, you must have been living under a rock. We have, I think my information is correct. Another 3 have turned up this evening, B-1 bombers. So that must be one of the largest deployments ever to Fairford. I spent last Saturday there, in fact, and got 3 departures. And if anyone hasn't witnessed one of them, it's obviously quite difficult to get to Fairford at the moment with how popular it is and restrictions in place. So, do a lot of planning first if you're that keen to go. But it's something worth doing, I think. But it looks like they might be here for quite a while yet. So
The irony wasn't lost on me that Fairford is about a half an hour drive from my front door, and then there I was disappearing off to Wales for the week. So probably the aviation event of the year in sort of real documentary style. It's wartime photography, isn't it? It's that's what's there at the
exactly.
moment. So yeah, the irony wasn't lost that all that's happening right on the doorstep, and there was me driving 3 hours to a set of hills in Wales.
Oh dear. So I think we're about done, guys. And that's been another episode of the All the Gear podcast. And thank you for listening. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and hopefully see you guys soon.
See everyone.
Cheers, everyone.
See you on the next episode.
Bye.